So, all my friends know that my favorite series is Dark Souls, and I figured a fun way to add this little tidbit about myself to the channel would be to do a top 5 ranking list of my favorite Dark Souls characters. So, to just set some ground rules, I would also like to say I'm excluding all uh, player characters, all the Chosen and Cursed Undead and the Ashen one, just because those are player made characters. And even though a lot of their lore is set in the lore, like all their actions are set, I would still rather leave them out as they don't have a lot of hardcore character traits. But with that being said, let's get directly into the list. So my fifth favorite character would actually be Lord Gwen, the progenitor of all of the issues in the Dark Souls universe, right? And there are a few reasons for this. One of my favorite things about him is in a lot of ways he mirrors Griffith from Berserk, in that he's a character that represents light within the universe, but there's evil found within that light. And just like with Guts in the Berserk universe, there's goodness found within the darkness of humanity. Um, and we see this illustrated in a few ways. Like, humanity was completely willing to go out and help with the cause of defeating the everlasting dragons, but because Gwen feared them and the fact that they would one day succeed his rule, he wanted to shackle them, but do it in a way that it wouldn't piss them off. Like, he built the ringed city as a way to keep humanity contained, and he sat New Londo in a place where he could flood it if he ever had to get rid of a large amount of humans at one time. And it's really actions like that that show you how shady and duplicitous this Lord of Light can be. And this duality to his character is really what I find so compelling. My number 4 pick is actually Grey Rat the Thief from Dark Souls 3. And he, in contrast to my pick of Lord Gwen for my number 5, is a very low level character. He's very insignificant to the events at large in the universe, but he impacts the players on a very personal level because when you release him from prison, he asks you to go find someone named Loretta and give her a ring. But what ends up happening is you discover her corpse and bring back a destroyed homeward bone that used to belong to her. And this really sends him on a path of self destruction. He offers multiple times to go out of his way to go on suicide missions to gather you more resources because he's indebted to you and he wants to serve you for helping him. But he also wants to die in the process because Loretta's gone. Who this is, we don't, in relation to him, we don't know exactly if it was a lover or a parent or a friend, but he's pretty torn up about it. And one reason that his story is so interesting and enthralling is because we don't know all that much about it. We just know that he's a kind guy that is depressed and wants to help us, and that's all we really need to like latch onto him as the player. And I think the less we know about him and his backstory, the better, because it allows us to fill in our own ideas about him while also having a solid, tangible character that we can love. In contrast to that pick, I'm going with another high level character in the lore, that being King Vendrick from Dark Souls 2. And one of the reasons he's so interesting is because in a lot of ways he mirrors the plight of the undead from Dark Souls 1, the chosen undead, because he defeats four lords and starts up a kingdom. And one of the reasons he's so gripping is because we do meet him and we find out that though he's been manipulated by Nishandra, he's a fucking petty motherfucker. He has ensured that she will never be able to touch the Throne of Want, which is, by extension, what's covering the first flame. And therefore, this abyssal creature, this daughter of Manus, will never be able to touch something that would give her untold power. And it's this that makes me love him so much, that even though he was fooled, he pulled out a win for humanity at the end of it. He absolutely fucked her over, and I find that hilarious. It would be a fucking disservice if I didn't put my boy Solaire somewhere on this list, but he's at my number two spot. And the reason he is such an interesting and compelling character is because he just goes out of his way to endear himself to us. He's a jolly, happy man who just he aids us around every corner, and he really just the way he speaks, he makes jokes, he really comforts us. He provides a certain solace with his charisma and really kind of is a beacon of light in the cruel world that is Dark Souls. And he's super useful in the first half of the game as far as most of his summonings. He's not really useful for the Gaping Dragon because it just ups his health a lot. But outside of that, he's really invaluable for your first playthrough. Like the man just comes in clutch time after time, and it's this aid that he does for you that I feel really is what made me so endeared towards his character. And if you don't know how to save him, like, oh my lord, it is crushing having to kill him. Like it destroys everyone who's ever played that game if they didn't know that his death was coming up in the way that it is. It's just because you have to do it and he's your friend throughout the whole story, it destroys you. It is so sad. I honestly don't know if it could be anyone except Artorias in my number one spot. And the main reason for that is because he's just so goddamn cool. You know, he's essentially the guts of the Dark Souls universe. And he's this honorable warrior who went out fighting the embodiment of darkness and evil in the world. And instead of saving himself against it, he saved his best friend, which is a dog. And I don't think you can get a lot more wholesome than that. And his boss fight is just A1 amazing, probably one of the best in the series, in my opinion. And just the lore behind him saving his dog really endears us to him. And it makes you really feel for him and his plight because, like it says when you enter the boss fight for the first time, he has no darkness within him, he has no evil within him, and he's overcome by the abyss and just the knowledge that his corruption is totally against his will. It really pushes you to want to put him out of his misery. But anyway, guys, that was my top five picks for my favorite Dark Souls characters. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. God bless.